Like seriously, I want balance in all those areas, but you know, whatever, I'm on a maintenance plan. Okay, so dominating global and luxury markets. How many of you thought about, you know, just raising your average sales price? Let's not do as many. What if you did the same number of transactions next year, but you doubled your income? Who's in? All right, is that like a high priority? Okay, I'm going to share with you how to do. I'll introduce you to a friend of mine, Dano, here in a minute. Okay, listing mastery. This is a big one. How many of you want more listings? Why do we want to list more? Say it louder. It creates leads. Every listing you get should equal 1.5 buyer side closings. So, you want to grow, you list. The more you list, you control the inventory. Is inventory an issue right now? Okay, so do you want to be one of 10 buyer's agents trying to get that house, or do you want to have the house that 10 buyer's agents are trying to sell? I want the inventory. And if you're not a great lister, become one or hire one. Become a team of specialists. I want a listing specialist, a buyer specialist, a transaction specialist, an inside salesperson, and a nanny. Because you got to travel. I had a client that wanted, I spoke at the Utah Association of Realtors this year, and one of the top agents in Deer Valley, Utah, pulled me aside, and he said, Verl, I want to go to the next level. He's already making a boatload of money. I said, what's the next level for you? He says, I want to double. And I said, well, when was the last time you had a vacation? No assistant, by the way. His average sales price is about $1.2 million. I said, when was the last time you took your wife on a vacation? He said, 3 years ago. Brianne was with me as we talked to this guy. What did I tell him? I told him I won't take him on as a client unless he schedules and takes his wife on a 1-week vacation before the end of the year. It's not about the money, guys. And you know, so my first session, I get him on the phone. I says, where are you going to go? He says, I've got the perfect thing. We're going to go to San Francisco. When? He says, November. I said, that's NAR. He says, yeah, I'm going to take her with me to NAR. This is true, man. I was like, that is not okay. This call is over. I'm not having a session with you until you call me back and tell me you've got it planned and booked. And I want your wife on the call. Seriously, it's not about the money, guys. I'm like, I'm not working with this guy if he's all about the money. He's got 3 little boys at home. His wife is a stay-at-home mom. She's working harder than he is. And he needs to take care of his family. And if you're going to, you know what he'll do? He'll make a whole bunch of money and he'll get divorced. What's the point? Right? It's not worth it to me. All right, lead mastery, dominate local, and he's got unlimited lead sources. It's just a crazy business. He's going to be fun to work with once he gets back from Vegas. Yeah, absolutely. Did he do it? He wrote me a check for 10 grand. I'm not giving his money back. Oh, he hasn't gone yet. He hasn't gone yet. This is like happening like right now. This is like I'm giving you real-time action items. Right? He writes me a check, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not coaching you. So I'm not even going to start until you're ready to go. He's like, you cashed my check. I said, thank you. I thank you. Your wife thanks me. It's all gonna work out. Okay, we got to become better salespeople. So I want you to study sales. Take 2014, this next year, and let's raise our sales IQ. Okay, I have to go really fast. What time am I done? 10:45, right? Okay, I'm okay for a minute. We got to study sales. Become great salespeople. Learn to negotiate. The 1-Minute Negotiator, great book written by Don Hudson and Dr. George Lucas. Become better negotiators. Become armed to the teeth with technology and a freaking sales animal. You've heard me say it 1,000 times. I'm not going to do Ron Popeil today, but you know what I'm talking about. I want you to be focused on sales and become amazing. Practice scripts and dialogue. How many of you work from scripts and dialogue, work from written scripts? Okay, how many of you believe you could have a higher conversion rate if you actually followed proven scripts when you're talking to clients? Hannah's not sure. She's not in on this. Hannah's like, no, man, I'm just natural. I just do it naturally. So, Brianne, your first hour of calling at the Buyer's Agent Boot Camp, how many appointments did you set? 0 the first hour. What changed between hour 1 and hour 2? Second hour, she set 7 appointments. First hour, 0. Second, 7. The difference was changing the script. We have great people. You're all great people. So if something's not working, it's not the people, it's the process or the system. So what I want to focus on is figuring out, Paul, where is our system failing us that's keeping us from getting and living at our potential? Because the people are good. You're all great. Now we just have to figure out where the system's failing you so that we can give you more at-bats. Because when you get more at-bats, you're going to win. You agree with that? All right. Practice scripts and dialogue. Learn how to overcome objections and resolve concerns. How many of you like objections? Like if you don't raise your hand on this, I'm totally going to breakfast. Okay. Guys, you got to learn to love objections. What are objections? Oh, you all give me the standard church answer. Oh, they're opportunities. But I said, who loves them? You didn't raise your hand. So you know what you should say is they're opportunities, but where's your real belief system? Do you really believe that objections are opportunities? Okay, thanks for being authentic. Okay? She's like, no, they're not. Yes, they are. Let me tell you what when you give me an objection, I get goosebumps talking about objections. I love them. It's no conflict. The way we overcome every time somebody gives you an objection, it's an opportunity to find out what the real concern is so that you can resolve it and ask a closing question. Objections are nothing more than opportunities to find out what the real concern is. Give me an example of an objection you might get, and I'll show you how we overcome it. Go ahead, give me an objection. Pick it out. I don't care. Pick any objection. Come on. Anybody can play. Not ready yet. I'm not even in your house. No, seriously. Oh, awesome. Okay. Okay, for those aren't objections. That's poor qualification on the part of the agent. I'm not even in the house of someone who doesn't want to do business with me. And we qualify that before I get there, okay? Someone who doesn't want to pay a commission is usually someone who needs you the most. Seriously, because they don't believe they have enough equity in their home to sell it, which means they're really a what? It's really a short sell. And do you think they can do that on their own? You know, someone who doesn't want to pay you has a perception that you don't have value. I don't believe we have any price objections, only value questions. So if someone thinks that you should do it for less, it's because we haven't communicated our value effectively. Oh, okay, I love that one. I want a list of someone who's I'm the biggest guy in the room. What are you talking about? I want a list with the big name in the area. First of all, I'm going to do it. When I go into a presentation, there's always a process I call as a needs probe, right? The needs probe is, why are you moving? And I want to know the real core motivating value. What's your pain? Why are you moving? My husband got transferred. You know, we got to go to the new area. He's left already. We got to get the house sold. Okay? Why are you moving? We've outgrown the home. You know, I've got too many kids. Or my kids have all moved and I've got too much house. What's the real motivating value? If I don't know what your real motivation value is, okay? The other thing I'm going to do is you're going to be talking to other agents, and you say, yes, I'm going to be talking to the #1 agent in the area. I say, no problem. By the way, I love competition. I love it. Bring it on. What I'm going to do is, the question isn't going to be, I want a list with a big name. The question is, I want to sell my house for the most, and I want to be able to do it while representing my family's interest, and I want to have it cost me the least. Is that really true, what you're looking for? Okay. I mean, do you care who signs in the front yard? If we can sell your house for the most, do it in the shortest amount of time while protecting your family's interest, is that what you really care about? Because I'm armed to the teeth with technology and I'm a freaking sales animal. And anyone who inquires on your property, I will follow up with them until they buy or tell me to die. Or you can call a realtor. Right? You think I have I've never used that before. Oh, yes, I have. You know, my son called me up one day. So Ryan's my 20-year-old. He's not going into real estate yet because he's still a dork. But Ryan, he's a salesman, though, like his brother and sister. I mean, he's great salespeople. Ryan calls me up one day. Ryan's got a lawn business, and he runs ads on KSL. It's like, kind of like Craigslist. And people call him up. The guy calls him up and says, hey, I need you to come out and give me a bid on cleaning up my yard. And Ryan gets out to the house, and he's like, oh, wow. It was like 2 acres. It was like horse property. The guy had let it go. He was an alcoholic, going through a divorce, and he was moving. He had to move, and he was buried in his property. And Ryan said, wow, I don't know if I can bid this. You mind if I have my dad come out? Because Ryan knows I give him a little spiff if he finds me real estate business. And so Ryan calls me up, and I go out to the guy's house, and I said, Tony. I met this guy's name. By the way, this is on a soccer Saturday. I'm in my shorts, my T-shirt, my ball cap. And Ryan calls me up and says, hey, Dad, you got to help me bid this job because it's too big. I don't even know how to bid it. So I went out there with Ryan. I'm walking the yard. I asked the guy why he's cleaning up his yard. He said, I got to get it sold. Cha-ching. I didn't go back to my office. I didn't do a pre-listing package. I'm in my shorts and my T-shirt on soccer Saturday, And I sat down with my laptop, and we talked about his situation. He called his plaintiff in. That was his soon-to-be ex-wife, the plaintiff. Called the plaintiff in. She came over and mad. I had to sit between them because they were just daggers at each other. They were both having affairs on each other and thought the other one had the problem. I'm like, all right, I'm not getting into this. I have no idea how to deal with this one. And so it was really interesting. As I'm dealing with Tony and Paula and we're talking about their situation, I said, you know, how come you haven't put your market on the yet? Well, he says, well, we've been trying to call the #1 agent in the market, and she hasn't responded. Have you ever heard that before? Yeah. And I said, well, yeah, I'm here now. And we went through and I listed the house. I put it under contract. We sold it at $1.1 million. You know, in my shorts and t-shirt on a soccer Saturday, doing a paperless presentation. So having the ability to overcome objections and resolve concerns and deal with the #1 agent isn't a problem if you practice your scripts and dialogue. Come on, give me another one. I want to think about it. I want to pray about it. Somebody else said they could do it for less. You ever lose listings because another agent came in there and put them on a bubble, telling them their house is worth this when it's really worth this? I'll show you later how we never lose a listing on price. Deb, I'm going to show you a brand new thing you've never seen before, okay? And it's how do we list and never lose on price. And I took it from Sam Miller, who lists 300 houses a year by himself. Okay, all right, so I have no idea what I'm talking about. That's a good slide. Let's go to the next one. What's that? Who did the yard? My son managed the group of Tongans that came in and did it. Yeah, so my son got the yard job, and it turned out to be really good. Yeah, and I'll tell you what, this transaction was a freaking nightmare because of the buyer's agent on the other side. I got a buyer's agent who'd never sold $1 million house and never done a short sell. Oh, and she kept doing stupid things, calling me and wanting stupid stuff. I'm like, the bank doesn't care. Stop asking. Finally, I said to her, I like you, and I want you to make $30,000 on this transaction. But the only way that's going to happen is if you let me talk to your clients from now on. You know what she said? Okay. Because if I let you continue to do what you're doing, you're going to lose this deal. I'm going to get the deal anyway. You're the only one that's going to lose here. And she said, okay. And I worked with her and we closed it. Okay, so I told that story and she was in my class. No, I was totally serious. I'm like, oh, crap. But then I was like, but it worked out really good for us, didn't it? She's like, yeah. My short sale negotiator got everybody paid full commission, everybody on the deal. It was a beautiful deal. You think I negotiated the short sale? Put a bullet in my head. That'd be like driving buyers around. No, I'm not doing it. I don't have time. Okay? I'd rather go to soccer game. Okay, show you that dial. Okay. All right, maximizing social media. That was on the list. Am I going to spend any time on that? Nah, I'm not going to talk about it. Okay, let me share this one to you. All right, what do these things have in common? Look at this right here. Facebook, email, paperless listing presentation, short sales, top producer, Dave Beeson's letters, Google Voice, text messaging on your phone, Skype. What do they all have in common? They're forms of communication. What are they? How many of you own some or all of these tools? How many of you are power users of them? All right, look at the room. Look at the room. I got like 1 or 2 people that raised their hand. We all have the tools. We chase and buy shiny objects, but we don't execute and implement. Let me tell you why I love these tools, because they make me money. And when they make me money, it gives me the ability to fund my daughter's excursions. I say that with love, but it's true. Thank you. All right. Can you imagine? And Brianne's like setting the standard for the other children, which is scary. Okay, so I'm flying from Salt Lake City to Orlando, Florida. I'm flying from Salt Lake to Atlanta, and I get a Facebook invite from Megan Masivic, who I have no idea who this chick is. This is the real Facebook message. Megan says, hi, Verl. I'm Nicole Bangerter's sister. We have a home in Daybreak. It was our first home. My husband's done with residency soon, and we'd like to either move into a bigger home in Utah or wherever he gets a job. Anyway, there's a lot to figure out in this economy, and I'd love to have you help us. Thanks. Who wants that lead? What is that? Is that a Facebook lead or what? How many of you have never seen one of these before? Right? We're all on Facebook. I call it fake work, and we're messing around with Facebook. This is a real lead. So what do? I clicked on her profile, and I checked her out, because that's what we do. Who is this? So I checked Megan out, and she had a cute little family, 3 kids. Her husband's just finishing, becoming a doctor. And I clicked on her email on her profile. And I sent her a great email. It said, hey, thanks for reaching out to me on Facebook. Looking forward to meeting with you. I'm out of town for a couple days. I'll be back on Saturday. I can meet with you between 1 and 3. Here's a few things that I'm looking for. I then flew to my gig in Florida. 2 days later, I'm flying back through Atlanta, and I thought, wait a second. I got that Facebook lead. She hasn't called me back. Why not? Oh, I see. She reached out to me the way she prefers Facebook messaging, and I responded to her the way I prefer email. She doesn't check her email. So I took the message and I copied it and pasted it and put it in her messages in Facebook. I kid you not, 15 seconds later, she responded. 15 seconds. She says, oh, I thought you weren't interested. Thanks for getting back to me. Saturday's great. Here's the information. She's on Facebook. So I go out to her house and I meet them at their home, and they're upside down. You ever have one of these? About 20, 30 grand, not drastically upside down. They're upside down. So we had an intelligent conversation about what their options were. My advice to them was, let's not make a decision today. We don't know where you're going to be located. We don't know where you're going to get a job, what your starting salary is going to be. And you're fine where you're here, so let's stay here. And then when you find out where you land and you're ready to move, then we'll deal with this property. We have options. We can lease it. You can rent it. You can short sell it. We have options. They said, okay. I then put them in top producer. I launched a series of Dave Beeson's follow-up letters. You got those, don't you, Don? We launched a series of follow-up letters, and the letters then follow up. It's now 6 months later. I'm at RE/MAX of Western Canada. I'm in Vancouver, Canada, doing a RE/MAX Western Canada event. And I'm sitting at a little sushi bar with my brother Joe, and I get a message. And the message says, oh, it comes from Google Voice. Now, how many of you have Google Voice? How many of you use it? Okay, Google Voice is free. It's a phone number that you get when somebody calls your Google Voice number. It rings whatever phone you want it to ring. I can have it ring my number. I can have it ring my buyer's agent number. I can have it ring my house number. So I have one number that I use on everything, and they call that number, and they get wherever I want it to ring at the moment. Well, I had left the country, and I hadn't forwarded my Google Voice, and I hadn't turned on international calling. So my phone wouldn't ring in Canada. So I get a text message. So when someone leaves a message on Google Voice, it translates it to text and sends you a text. Here's the real message. So this is my Google Voice account. This is the message. I don't know if you can see this. It says, hey, bro. By the way, Google Voice doesn't always get all the words right. Yeah. My name is Verl. It's not in the vocabulary of Google Voice. So it's like, hey, bro. I'm like, what's up? That's cool. I can hang. I can hang. It says, hey, Verl. Anyway, Megan and I found a house. It's a bank home we want to move on. We approve. We can cover it with a loan amount without a problem. We want to get you represented as buyer's agency. We want to make it happen quickly. Give me a call. Here's my number. What do you do? Oh, you're out of the country and you don't have international calling. What do you do? Text him back. The guy leaves a number and he says, call me. You don't text him back. You Skype him. So I opened up my computer. So when Brianne came back from Korea, she went over to Korea for 3 months last year teaching English, whatever. And then, so she comes home. Before she comes home, she says, hey, Dad, can I bring something back for the family? I said, what do you have in mind? She says, Jenny. I said, what's Jenny? She says, my friend. I said, sure. I think she's going to come for a couple weeks. How long did she stay? Yeah, that's right. We had Jenny in her house. So Jenny gets there. She's like, I need to call my parents, let them know that I got here safe. I said, no problem. Do you have a calling card? Well, no. I said, do they have a computer? Well, no. Oh, okay. So you want to use my phone to call your parents in Korea. I don't know what that's going to cost, but it can't be cheap. So I set up international calling on Skype, where they'll call from Skype to any landline or cell phone for $13 a month unlimited. How cool is that? United States and Canada is $25 a year. So I'm sitting at a little sushi bar. I plug my headset into my computer. I open it up and I Skype Jeff. I call his cell phone. He answers the phone. He's in the operating room. Ring, ring. He answers, Dr. Masivic, and I hear beep, beep, beep. I said, Jeff, this is Verl. Is now a good time? He says, oh, yeah, he's totally asleep. He's an anesthesiologist. He says, Megan and I found a house, man. This house rocks. We want it. You got to get us this house. It was on the market at $2.1 million. It dropped to 1.7. Went under contract, failed. Came back on at 1.5. Went under contract, failed. 1.2. Came under contract, failed. 1.1. It just hit the market. This is the house. $899. My wife wants this house. Get me this house. Hadn't even shown him the house yet. He says, we got to get in it real quick, but I want to make an offer. I says, no problem. I'm out of the country. How am I going to show it? I called Jerry. Jerry's my showing agent. I pay him $25 an hour. I said, Jerry, I need you to show this house to the Masivics. Jerry picks them up, goes up, meets them at the house. They walk through the house. They love it. We write an offer, full price, get it in. In the meantime, I call the listing agent and say, what's the story on the house? He said, builder built it for the Parade of Homes. By the way, it's 12,000 square feet, has a racquetball court inside, unbelievable theater, beautiful, beautiful home. The taxes on there are so low. If you look at the taxes, $2,500, because that's on the ground. He never got financing. He never closed it, because the builder ran out of money and the market shifted in the middle of building it. And so the people he was building it for, the spec house, they're the ones who bought it for 2.1, 1.7, 1.5, and 1.1. And every time they got to the closing, they felt they could beat the bank up more and they backed out. Then the bank would come on $200,000 less. I called the agent up and says, what's the story? He tells me the story, and I said, I'll get you a full price offer, but you can't jack with my clients on this if you're going to sell it to these other people. He says, I won't. Get me the offer. We write the offer, $899. 30 minutes later, I get a highest and best addendum. I'm like, you suck. Oh, I said it to him. I said, who's the other offer? He says, well, it's the other people. I said, how'd they know there was an offer? He says, well, I felt like I was obligated to tell them. Yeah. Oh, do you represent them? He says, no. I said, I just wondered. So we went back in at $999, came up $100,000, got it under contract, and closed it in 30 days. I love this business. I love this business, right? I didn't even show him a house. Who likes that? I didn't even take him out. I had to pay $25 to my showing agent, and I had to pay $300 to my transaction coordinator. The rest was mine. Well, you got to pay the government, but we find ways around that. Now, oh crap, what's today? Right? Who just ruined my day? Like, I go extension. I got to call that. Brianne, put that on my list. Okay, I got to call my CPA and make sure he files all my stuff today and gets it done, right? All right, this better be a good day, because I'm sure I got it. Anyway, all right, so here, now I want you to look at this technology for a second. At what point during this process could I have lost the deal? They contacted me on Facebook. I called them back. I sent them back an email. I could have lost it right there, right? I could have lost the deal when I went to the house and didn't blow them away with my presentation. If I wasn't exceptional and I didn't build a relationship of trust, I wouldn't have had him as a client. When we had an intelligent conversation about a short sell as an option, they understood I knew what I was talking about. They were okay moving forward with me, even though that wasn't the best option for their family. By the way, they still own the house. We just rent it out. I then put them in top producer, and I followed up with a series of Dave Beeson's letters. Had I not done that, and I wasn't at the front of their mind at the moment that house came on the market, what's the chance of me losing the business? Is it high? It's really high, okay? Then when they call my Google Voice number, if I don't have my cell phone turned on, I get the voice message, and I can't call him on Skype immediately. If I don't get back to this guy in 15 minutes, you think he's waiting for me? As much as they like me, he likes his wife more. And she was getting that house. And we provided exceptional service. Now, we become friends with the family. So Megan and Jeff, they have kids that are three. I call them the littles. My three little. I got three big ones, and then I got the littles. They have kids the same age as my littles. And, we're friends now. Brianne, who did we take to Lake Powell on the houseboat last year? Jeff and Megan and their kids. They become friends. And not only have they become friends, they become unbelievable referral clients. I never even showed them a house. But I provided exceptional service during the entire process. Now, when you look at your technology, how many of you want it to work like this? Like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I want it all to flow together. That's what I'm talking about. So you got to check this out. So this is like 2 weeks ago. Megan sent me this message on Facebook. She says, and we were talking about something. She says, thanks, Verl. Hey, there's another one in Oakley that's a short sell. They've decided they want to buy a cabin now. She says, Jeff's on a cabin kick or a recreational place. He wants an acre. I'd love to have a short seller foreclosure. He's ready to buy right now at $300,000, but he can be talked into a good deal at $400,000. Smile. You know who's working this deal, right? She's like, oh, I can bump him $100,000. She has all the power. All right, I'll send you the links to the others I find as well. Thanks. The property is awesome, so we'll let you know. Okay, so I've trained them that I don't show them property. I don't. They go out, they drive up to the places, they go look at them. When they want to make an offer, call me, I'll get you the deal. They introduce me as the best agent on the planet when he introduces me to his doctor friends. This is the best agent on the planet. I don't even show them houses. I'm like, you go find it. You know, they love me because I got them the deal. I got them the home. That's why they love you, is because we provide a fanatical level of service at the level they engage. All right, we want to list more houses. So I asked top 5 and says, okay, I got to talk faster. I got to talk fast. Now I got to go fast. Oh, wow, I got to really fast. Okay, let's talk about how do we list. All right, the key to listings, you got to control the inventory. If you want to last, you got to list. Work 4 sublisters and expireds. The elite do. When you call an expired and they say, I got 1,000 agents calling me, you should respond by saying, that's probably true, but you don't have 1,000 like me. Is that true? You call someone who's expired, it's not like any other agent calling him, is it? You know, you're not calling them because you need to make the 3% on their house. You're calling them because you believe that they're in a situation where they need to move and their agent has failed them, and you'd like to come in and see if you can provide better service to their family. Are you going to charge them? Sure. But it's not about the money. I want to help these people. They put their house on the market for a reason. Practice your dialogue. Let me introduce you to Bruce. Okay, so here's a guy. This is an exact scenario. Bruce is Remaxed in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Just a really cool guy. Single agent, doesn't have an assistant, working by himself, wanted to make $100,000 a year. That was his goal. I just want to get, what do you call that, president? 100% club. He wanted to make $100,000, right? He wanted to be in the top 10 in his office. He wanted to build his listing inventory to 10 and maintain 10 active listings. Are these reasonable goals? Yeah, and he wanted to automate his processes. He wanted to hire a virtual assistant. Let me show you where Bruce is today. He's number 2 in his office. By the end of July, he had 7 active listings, had 8 pending contracts, and 5 listings in the hopper. He had 1 part-time virtual assistant, now has 1 full-time assistant working for him. Now, he's 50% automated. This is a guy that you had a flip phone. Like our first couple sessions were like really getting into his technology, and I'm like, okay, what smartphone do you have? And he says, well, what makes it smart? Okay? All right. By October 1st, he had done $285,000 in GCI this year. He had 7 pendings that were not paid. He had 10 active listings, and he'll finish this year at $360,000 GCI. Here's what happened. And for the first time, he's taken 2 weeks off this year. 1 Harley ride down the Oregon coast with his buddies, and Palm Springs week with his wife. Okay? So you don't have to make more money at the expense of your family. We just hired his first buyer's agent. I just interviewed his first buyer's agent. Was another Remax agent in the office that had been in business for 12 years and was an experienced agent closing an average of 12 transactions a year. And you know what he wanted? A higher split. I said, all right, let's talk about that. So Bruce had interviewed him, and now I was doing the interview because I won't let him hire him until I talk to him. And so I'm talking to the buyer's agent, and we pay buyer's agents 40-60. They get 40, we get 60 for the first 2 transactions in a month. Then 45-55 on the second 2, and 50-50 on 5 forward a month. So you get 5 a month, you get up to a 50-50. Okay? Now, that's really hard for someone who's been on a 95-5 or a 70-30. But when you do the math, if you're doing 12 transactions a year at 100% commission, would you make more money doing 60 transactions a year at 50%? And you don't have to process the transaction. We lead generate, we handle the transaction. All you do is go out and sell frickin' houses. I want you out there every day showing houses, putting them under contract, getting the next client. Would you make more money if that's all you had to focus on and we took everything else away? It took me about 20 minutes to help him understand the math on that. He said, I need a bigger split. I said, you're going to tell your wife that you're fine at $45,000 or $50,000 a year when I just offered you a job where you're going to make $125,000 to $150,000 the first year. And that's if you're only hitting the minimum level I expect out of this position because you wanted a higher split. Is the split really what is important to them, or is the amount of money they take home to their family? What is it? It's the amount of money they take home to their family. We just have to be able to communicate it in an effective way. How many of you are on teams right now? How many of you hope your team leader didn't hear what I just said? All right. All right. Our 2014 goal with Bruce, we're doing business plans right now. Where do you think it is? 700. We got to double. You just got to double it. Christy, when I say what are we going to do next year, what do we say? We got to double. That's what we're going to do. We're just going to double it. That's what you do. That's the next thing. Okay, so geographic farming. One of the things I've learned about the elite is they all farm. They are farming animals. How many of you have a geographic farm? Raise your hands high so I can see who you are. All right. How many of you believe there's an opportunity out there if you were to geographic farm? Okay, so interesting. Who's not going to raise their hand no matter what my question is? It's okay. All right, so we believe that there's opportunity out there, but we don't do it. Why don't we do it? What are your excuses for failure? Was that harsh? I don't mean to hurt your feelings. So you know you make money if you did it, but you don't do it. Why don't you do it? Oh, Zig Ziglar calls it cooked into squat, fixing to rise, right? I love that. I'm getting ready to do something great. Yeah, okay. That's authentic. Why else? Don't know who to farm. Somebody else already has the market. Costs too much money. Come on, what are the excuses? Don't know what to send. Don't know what works. Are these legitimate excuses? Here's the thing. The reason we don't do it is because we have other habits that we've formed that aren't as good at habits. And we spend our time focusing on those instead of these better habits. We have to change your habits. So here's what to do with farming. Okay, so you want to know how much turnover is there in an area. You want to have 20% of your geographic farm that you own. You want to dominate it, okay? You want to do upper middle class. You want to increase your average sales price. Most people farm the areas where they live. They don't do the research to find out where the turnover is. Where are people moving? I want to farm the areas where I've got lots of turnover. I also want to make sure that there's not an agent that's got 60 or 70 market share. If they've got 70%, if you're farming an area and you've got 70% market share, it's a waste of my time and money to farm that same area. So I'm going to just pick the next neighborhood over where you don't dominate. Is that okay? And a lot of the areas where you think someone dominates, they really don't when you go in your MLS and run your numbers. You'll be shocked. Okay? Greg Newman lists 100 houses a year with an average sales price of $900,000. Greg Newman says that his farm stuff's got to look better. He uses 8.5 by 11 postcards. His postcards are this big. How big are yours? He says you're competing against everybody else sending weak and less lower quality product. So I send a 8.5 by 11 letter. It costs me $1.25 each, and I own 35 to 40% of my market. He's got market share. He says it takes 4 to 5 years, so start right away. Knock on doors in your farm. When you list a home in your farm, you don't mail to everybody. He does that too. He says, I knock the doors around the neighborhood, and I say, I first want to apologize. I've listed a home in your area, and we do so much marketing. We usually drive a lot of traffic. I just want to let you know that that's me that's causing all the problem. If you want the traffic to stop and all the traffic are driving to the property, just tell me someone who you think wants to live in this neighborhood, and I'll sell it to them, and we'll just turn it off the market. Come on, that's fun dialogue, right? Have some fun with it. Okay. What happens when you knock doors? Oh, their house is on the market. Well, if they don't want that house, tell them that I'll sell mine. People say that all the time. Well, if they don't like that house, they'd love mine. It's better. Oh, really? Show it to me. What do you have? Build the relationship and list too. Okay, we knock doors, hand deliver flyers, hold open houses for other agents in your farm. Hey, if it's in your farm and somebody else has a listing, I don't care if you're a top agent, middle agent, great agent, whatever, hold their other house open. Agents have gotten lazy. They stopped doing open houses. Open houses are a gold mine. It's a gold mine. Anyway, I don't get into lazy agents, okay? Now, make some investment and pummel the neighborhood. This is Melinda Estridge. Melinda Estridge is Long & Foster's number 2 agent in the world. She does Chevy Chase, Maryland. She farms 3 different areas. This is the Chevy Chase marketing. We did a top 5 meetup at mid-year NAR in Washington, D.C., and Melinda came, and she had a briefcase. And it was full of all of her marketing materials that she's doing this year on all of her farms. And she gave it to everybody. Here you go. Here's what I'm using. Here's what our cards look like. Here's our blog. Here's our mailer. Here's our home book. Here's what we list with. And gave it to everybody and says, if you have any questions, you want more, let me know. One agent said, can I get it electronically? She said, sure. The elite are the givers. It really surprises me. You know, there's tweeners. The tweeners are the people that don't want to share. They don't want to tell anyone what they're doing because they don't think there's enough business. But the elite are the givers. They just like to give it to everybody and they share it. Melinda meets every month with the top 15 agents in her market and has met with them for 15 years. The other elite agents, and they price difficult properties together. They sell each other's transactions and they go to dinner once a month. They network with the competition. If I was going on a listing and Christy was already there and we're in the same market, I would say to my client, Christy's already been in here, you should totally list with her. She's phenomenal. And then next time Christy says to a client, I've already had Verl in, Christy would say, you know what, Verl's phenomenal, you should list with him. Whoever got there first, the other person says, list with them. And they take care of each other. It's awesome. And they get to work with each other at the top. Now, when you look at Melinda, does she say, hey, I make over $1 million a year in real estate? Look at my big hair and look at my big car. What does she say? What is she selling in her marketing? Information about what? She positions herself as a community expert. Not, hey, can I sell your house? I really need some money. I could get some listings. Will you let me sell your house? Please help me, please, please. No. What she says is, you get free weekly reports, neighborhood videos and blog, community events, and more. Go to ChevyChaseLiving.com. She has a blog for each of her communities that she services. And then she has virtual assistants that provides content on what's going on in those areas, and it's very high level. You want to know another way? Let me tell you something else that she does that I think is awesome. She holds, and you'll like this, she holds renovation seminars to people who would like to renovate their house to get maximum dollar when they sell it. And she charges for people to come to her renovation seminar. People pay $300 to $500 to come to a renovation seminar. She has a home remodeling expert, and then they show examples of before and after and what they got for the value as a result of doing the renovation. They teach people how to do it, and it is a listing mecca. Everybody there wants to sell their house and maximize the return on that investment when they do it. What a great idea. It is a great idea. So what's the action item? Right. I'd reach out. I'd send Melinda a text and say, hey, Verl told me you were cool. What do you got? She'll share it with you. On the back side of her card, she shows a few properties in the neighborhood that have sold. Doesn't show all her listings. She shows all of her solds. Do people want to see what's listed in their own neighborhood? Sometimes they do. What they really want to know is, did it sell and for how much? And can I get anything out of that? All right, getting some new ideas? Okay, so I got to show you this first. Before I show you this, I'm going to show you where this comes from. Deb, I'll just give it to you, man. Just ask me. I'll send you an email. Okay, so look. Let's go to my mind map. How many of you have ever seen me do a mind map before? Has anybody done mind mapping? All my clients are like, oh, yeah, I've seen your mind map, Verl. Okay, watch. Okay, so Sam Miller is one of the top agents in the world. Sam does a lot of business in a small community in Ohio. When I went into Sam's business, I want to know everything about the business, and this is called mind mapping. So mind mapping allows me to kind of drill in and figure out what's working, what's not working. So let me go here first. So, you know, Sam's got a 300-unit goal, 180 on the listing side, 120 on the buy side. He has a small team, 2 admins, 1 listing, 1 closing, and 1 marketing. Sam does all the listings. He has 3 buyer's agents. Fair enough? He goes on 300 appointments a year to